Hello, everyone. It's your boy Jeff again, and we're back in the spin zone after another somewhat lengthy absence. I'm sorry. Um, my listening time has been limited. It's the same old story. You know the routine by now if you've been watching me. Um, but I did finally accumulate, I guess, 10 albums that I have played since my last video, which I think was, 3 weeks ago? Something like that. And yeah, it is what it is at this point. I think it's like that for a lot of people too. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. First up is a Record Store Day purchase. This is a Live Pretenders album. It's live at the Paradise Theater, Boston, 1980. As you can see, it's clear vinyl with a red swirl in it, and a custom label. Sorry for all the glare. It's a great show. I mean, and the music is basically their first album, most of their first album. The only thing I didn't really care for about this was the packaging. It came in this plastic sleeve, and the record was just like there. So I put it in a disc keeper sleeve, but I just I don't know why they did this. Just put it in a cover. I don't know why they put it in this plastic bag. But I love the Pretenders, and I can't really say anything bad about this, and I didn't have anything live by them. So when I saw this come out, I think this came out on the first Record Store Day drop. I went back and I picked it up. So I think I used some eBay bucks on this too, so I didn't pay full price, but it wasn't flipper price anyway. So worth having if you're a Pretenders fan. Definitely worth having. These next few, actually these next three are ones that I bought on my record dig with Emma over at 8 Vinyl Low. First one being Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe. This album came out in 1989. And I think I mentioned before, I remember Brother of Mine was the big hit off of this, and it was all over the radio because Yes by then had split into two separate entities. One of them being these four, and the other actually calling themselves Yes with Trevor Rabin and Chris Squire. For all intents and purposes, this sounds just like what a Yes album would sound like, only it's not called Yes. Like I say, it came out in 89, so it does have some of that big 80s production on it. It does have that slightly tinny sound to it. You know, it was just a product of the time. But overall, I enjoyed this record. I mean, I'm a Yes fan. I'm not a huge Yes fan. You know, I have some of their albums, some of their earlier albums. But when I came across this, and it was relatively cheap, it was only $10. You know, it's a mint condition copy, so I just pulled the trigger on it. It's a pretty good record, I have to say. Then I also saw this, also at that same dig, Naz 3. I have Naz 2. I'm only needing Naz 1, which everyone tells me is the best one. This was good. I'm trying to remember, quite honestly, because I played this like 3 weeks ago. Some of it sounds like a Todd Rundgren solo album, which makes sense since he's in the band. And some of it sounds like just like your early 70s sludgy, heavy guitar, meathead rock. It's kind of an odd combination. So you'll have this pretty pop song, on one track. And then the next one, it sounds like, Mountain on steroids. It's a very odd combination. So, I don't know the history behind the making of this album, but it feels a little slapdash. I don't know. I don't know if this was just like they had leftover tracks that they just threw together on an album, or if this was their actual intent. I didn't really research it, but I liked it. I liked the Todd Rundgren Pretty Pop songs I liked. The sludgy guitar songs, they're okay, but it's half a good album for me. Oh well, you know. But an album that is good front to back, beginning to end, by one of my favorite bands, and I was super excited to find this on that dig, was this album by XTC, Apple Venus Volume 1. This was the reissue that came out in 2018. Here's the back. Beautiful brand new record. Sounds pristine. And the music is fantastic, as just about every other XTC album is. Green Man, I remember, was the single off of this. And it's a lovely, atmospheric, synth-driven song with strings and great obscure lyrics and great singing and voice. This album and the follow-up to it, Apple Venus Volume 2, which is called Wasp Star, which I have on CD, but I don't have on vinyl, was there at the store. I found them both, but I just bought this one because I was kind of running out of money. I do want to get Wasp Star on vinyl because that's a great album too, and I'm well familiar with it, but it was, I'd never really played this one before. Beginning to end, I only knew a track or two. So just a wonderful album, and it makes me miss XTC. I know they had problems with their record label in the 90s, and I know Andy Partridge hates to perform, and they probably couldn't make money these days just releasing albums without performing, with the music business being what it is. But it still makes me sad because I miss these guys because they make such great music. It ticks every box for what I like in music. It is what it is. All right. Gonna have a drink of coffee here. Cheers. Then, this next album came from the Neighbor Hall. Was pretty excited to find it. The soundtrack to the movie Eddie and the Cruisers. A somewhat underrated 80s movie, starring Michael Pare as the main character, Eddie. Here's the back. I'm just going to say it. John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band sound pretty much exactly like Springsteen and the E Street Band. Especially, On the Dark Side is, was the big hit off of this. And I'm sure a lot of people were fooled when they first heard it on the radio and then probably thought, oh my God, Bruce put out a new single? What? Yeah. It's kind of a compliment and a curse out too, I would think, but this is a great album. Besides On the Dark Side, Tender Years was another, I think, semi-hit off of this. That's a great song. They cover Run Around Sue. Betty Lou's Got a New Pair of Shoes. That's a great song. Wild Summer Nights. This is just your prototypical 80s soundtrack for people of my generation who grew up in the 80s. I remember seeing the movie a lot on HBO or on cable. It was all over in heavy rotation. And I was pretty excited to see this in the Neighbor Hall. And it's, like I say, it sounds like a complete copy of Bruce, but it's a good copy. What can I say? And I've seen a few people show this recently, either on Instagram or on the VC. So I don't know if this is kind of making the rounds again or not, but it's a good record, and you can probably find it cheap. Then moving right along. My brother Tim gifted me this album here. It's another Record Store Day purchase. And I've seen this one make the rounds a lot on around the VC. Rory Gallagher, Cleveland Calling. It's a radio performance of his that he done on a Cleveland radio station in 1972. And it's fantastic. I mean, it showcases a side of Rory that doesn't really get a whole lot of attention, which him playing acoustic. And he's just as good, obviously, playing acoustic guitar as he does electric. But on some of his live albums, he'll do a short section in the middle where he'll play a couple of acoustic songs. But still, this is a very intimate, very personal, very up close, conversation and performance by Rory. And he plays harmonic on some of the songs too. The only knock that some people put on this album was that they complained about the conversation snippets in between songs. A lot of people just wanted the songs. It didn't bother me because I liked hearing Rory talk just as much as I hear him play too. So that part didn't bother me. And it's really it's not like they talk like a long time in between songs. A lot of it is just him filling time while he's switching harmonicas because he does that on a couple of songs and he has to switch them, or he's tuning his guitar, making sure it's sounding right. So they're just talking to fill the space. It could have been edited out and it probably would have been a very much shorter album, but because there were no other songs for them to add, it's not like they could have added anything. But yeah, this is a great addition to your Rory Gallagher collection if you're a fan like me. So I was really thrilled to see this arrive in my mailbox. So thank you once again, Tim, over at High Noon's Vinyl. Got this for me and sent it to me. So I love you, brother. This is awesome. Okay, now going back to I got a lot of records on that dig that I did with Emma, so here's another one. This was like the last one I bought when we went to the last store. It's Echo and the Bunnymen, the John Peel Sessions, 1979 to 83. Double album. I'm a fan of Echo and the Bunnymen, obviously. And this just has the music. There's no conversation or anything else between John Peel and the band. This is just all, you can kind of see the song list. Basically, this goes up through their Ocean Rain album, like the second side of the second disc, has Killing Moon on it, Ocean Rain, Nocturnal Me, just great stuff. But this whole album front to back is great. If you're a fan of Echo and the Bunnymen and you want to hear them again, kind of in an intimate live setting on a radio performance, this would be a good pickup. And the sound was really good on this. The vinyl was super quiet. And I didn't have any issues with any of that technical stuff. It was just musical enjoyment. So very happy to have this. I only have a couple of Echo albums. I need more in my collection, especially their earlier stuff. So this kind of fills that gap a little bit until I get around to buying the actual studio albums. Okay, we got 3 more here. I'm actually going to go out of order. This was another Record Store Day release, also recommended by Emma, and it is Double Whammy, a 1960s garage rock rave up. For all intents and purposes, this sounds just like a Nuggets album to me. And in fact, Psychotic Reaction by the Count 5, which is the leadoff track, I think was on the original Nuggets album, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is, you know, it's that snotty proto-punk garage rock nuggets type of music that was all over the place in the mid to late 60s, by bands that were maybe local one-hit wonders. A few of these songs probably went national, like Psychotic Reaction. Um, I don't really recognize any other band in here besides The Music Machine. But even that song that's on here wasn't familiar to me. But overall, this was a great record. Um, if you wanted something quick to listen to, you didn't want to get into like a big concept type record and you just wanted some short, sharp shocks of 60s garage rock, this is the perfect album for you. And of course, I love this kind of music too. I'm a big fan of the Nuggets series. I've got several in my collection, and this would fit right in with those. And they just decided to call it Double Whammy. But yeah, this was on the third drop of Record Store Day. This was one of the releases, and Emma got it, and she's like, "Dude, you got to get this record. You're gonna love it." And it was cheap too. It was, I think it was less than $20. So, and it's on clear blue vinyl. Sounded amazing, and it's in mono. So I listened to this on headphones, but I imagine if I would have played this loud through my speakers, it would have been even more enjoyable. So, yeah, Double Whammy. This is a great little set, and it was a nice Record Store Day release there. Okay, the last two are by Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This was their greatest hits. This was another Neighbor Hall record, and you can see the playlist there. My two favorite tracks on this album was, I Can't Quit Her, and I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know. Which, those two tracks are on this album, which is their first, called Childless Father to the Man. So, of course, I grew up with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. They were all over the radio when I was a little kid. You know the drill. It's Spinning Wheel, which is still a good song. I still enjoy that song. You Made Me So Very Happy, and When I Die, God Bless the Child. Those are okay. They had changed singers after their first album when Al Kooper left the band. But for my money, this is by far Blood, Sweat, and Tears' best album. This is a very beat up copy. The cover has got a lot of ring wear, and the spine is pretty almost ripped through. This was an album that Value Vinyl Steve had sent me, when he sent out his free batch of records. So that just came in a couple days ago. And I was just talking about wanting to get this album after listening to the greatest hits because I liked those two tracks the best. And sure enough, I opened the box and this was the first album there. I know it was a complete coincidence. You had no idea. But it put a huge smile on my face when I saw this. It's an original pressing too. I looked it up on Discogs. It's a 2i Columbia, and it's got a fair amount of scuffs on it. No scratches. A few of those hairline scratches that you see when on older albums. I mean, it did have the original inner sleeve, which is good. It protected it some. So I cleaned it. And I just finished playing the rest of it today, actually, before I made this video. And I said it before and I'll say it again, those Columbia 2Is are quality pressings because, I had a few doubts thinking, this may not sound too hot because it didn't look, all that great even after cleaning. But man, it sounds great. It has some background crackle. It's one of those albums where if you turn it up loud enough, you wouldn't notice the crackle. So, Steve, if you're watching this, thank you. He sent me a bunch of other records too, which will probably pop up on future Spin Zones. But this was the gem of the bunch for me, because I was actually thinking about trying to search this out, and here it is. So, and this album is really quite different from the what came later. I mean, this is very bluesy. This is very, it's bluesy in some areas, and it's like orchestral in others. They were really stretching themselves with this album. They didn't really have one set genre type of music yet. But great piano playing by Al Cooper, great singing, great guitar work. There's horns on some of these songs, but not all. You know, they were known as a horn band later, I know, along the lines of like Chicago. But with this first album, they really set a high mark, which I don't think they ever really achieved again. So, for my money, Childless Father to the Man is my favorite Blood, Sweat, and Tears album. In my opinion, it's their best one. So once again, Steve, thank you. And, oh, Delivery Man just came. But yeah, great album. Very glad to have it in my collection. And yeah, it was a great listen. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me for now. Thank you all for watching, for those of you who still watch. And I did finish, just in other news, I did finish Dark Tower 2 and 3. And I'm fairly far into Dark Tower 4. So I'm off next week. I'm on vacation for Thanksgiving week. So I'm going to try to make a King video and talk about those books a little bit while they're still kind of fresh in my mind. So that's the plan. And I'm hoping to play a lot more music next week too, so I can have another Spin Zone sooner. Keep your fingers crossed. We'll see. All right, I love you guys. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you before then. And everyone be safe. It's crazy out there. So keep yourself safe. And I'll talk to you again soon. It's your boy Jeff. I love you.